And the only thing is I've been catching up on the older stuff, but it's current stuff. There's a podcast called Mueller, She Wrote.
Yeah.
Really good podcast, and I've been catching up on, from when the Mueller investigation kind of started, kind of a thing.
That's a catchy name too.
It's good. It's awesome. Like, they go through week by week by week and talk about the the indictments and the this, and one of the ladies that does it is somehow she's involved with the Hatch Act. So that means she works for the federal government, and I'm thinking she's some kind of prosecutorial role.
Okay.
Because her grasp on federal law is really advanced. But it's really good. But the only reason I want to bring him up is because I haven't listened to a lot of the new stuff. And when the Mueller report came out, last week? You're telling me that the guy that the fourth guy that Trump appointed to that job, he managed to read 400-page complicated goddamn report in less than 24 hours to go to the fucking Senate and give his opinion on it. It's like, I'm pretty sure Mueller didn't include pictures.
But
here's the
people reading
thing, though, is that, and so that's a great point. Like, there's no way he read a 400-page report, but like Barr and Mueller, like, these guys are friends, and the idea that Mueller is gonna, or that Barr is gonna smear Mueller's name, his friend, and somebody from the team isn't going to leak something, isn't going to leak some sort of statement about how horseshit that is, that's just asinine. That's just not realistic in today's politics. So, I mean, they're really good points, but the thing is, like any good conspiracy, it's intoxicating and it's seductive.
But
my
thing is, it's not so much conspiracy. I mean, if we treated the whole Trump thing as a RICO drug investigation, there would be more than enough to indict Trump. You've got 5 out of 6 of the major players in his campaign from the start indicted and facing fucking court charges or facing indictment charges.
That has nothing to do with Russia, though.
That had nothing to do
with
Russia. That's not true in the league.
It had everything to do with regular corruption. In fact, Manafort actually got indicted for selling arms to the Ukraine, who were fighting the Russians.
Yeah.
But Manafort also got money from Russian oligarchs, and he was in debt to Russian oligarchs.
So that's not a proof of collusion. Lots of people are in debt to oligarchs.
Right. No. But you got to remember, collusion is a colloquial term, meaning that there's not enough for them to say conspiracy, because conspiracy, you can only conspire to commit a crime. You cannot conspire to do good deeds. You get that, right?
Well, you can conspire to do a lot of things, I think, but conspiracy would be under the law, guise or something. But colluding is working together in the background.
No, under federal law, conspiracy is only in the intent to commit a crime.
Okay.
Collusion is the term that they use, so you're not liable for slander in case there is no collusion or no conspiracy.
Well, I'm here to tell you that there was no conspiracy between Trump and Russia and the 2016 election.
So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
So in 2013, right, or 2014, let me rephrase that, 2014, Trump lets Russia overpay $25 million for the Miss Universe pageant. 2014 is when Trump also started his run for the presidency. So how is there no collusion there? He took Russian money and he took Russian information, and his little cronies, i.e. his son.
Wait, what Russian information did he take?
There's actually meetings between Donald Trump Jr., Kushner, and about 3 other people in his campaign, including Manafort, that allowed him to have a meeting in the where the fuck was it? It's not the Ukraine. Fuck, I can't remember what it was.
But what's the Russian information?
The Russian information is the shit they got on Hillary. You got to remember
didn't all of that come out in WikiLeaks weeks before anyone told Trump, "Hey, I got mine on
Correct.
WikiLeaks."
And wait. Here's my question.
Where did Russia come into play?
Okay, here's my question. And who do we tie to WikiLeaks? Assange, correct?
Well, Assange is WikiLeaks, yes.
Okay, and where was Assange at that time?
Trapped in England.
Trapped in England in the Russian embassy.
No, in the Ecuadorian embassy.
Right, and the Ecuadorian embassy, there's actually 2 meetings that took place in Ecuador between Manafort and...
That's not true.
That is
false.
That's
horseshit.
That's not true. That's been proven. That's been proven false. It's been proven false. I'm telling you, like, this whole thing is seductive, and it's meant to draw you in, but you can't just listen to what a podcast says. Like, that's been proven false. The Guardian came out and said, "Ha ha! Yeah, guess what? Somehow, when the world was looking, somehow this guy wearing a 15,000 ostrich jacket was able to sneak in and talk to the world's most wanted man, and it just wasn't."
So here's
true.
my question:
and they have the
okay, that's fine. What about Donald Trump Jr. establishing back channels with Russia? Is that completely bullshit too?
Those back channels were linked to the building they were trying to build.
Right. The building they were trying to build.
Because Trump expected to lose the election.
Right, but with banks that are sanctioned by the U.S. because of the Russian sanctions.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Donald Trump Jr. putting blockades on Qatar because Qatar would not lend him money? This is the thing that gets me.
Exactly. This is a story about money, dude. This isn't a story about Russian collusion. It's a story about money, and he will do anything for money. But he's also telling Russia to go fuck themselves where they are in Venezuela. He's also has NATO missile batteries that are literally right on the Ukraine-Russian border. That's doing to them what the Cuban Missile Crisis did to us. He's ramping up escalations with.
But here's my counterpoint to that.
Are we just going to chat about conspiracy
we started, but it's not conspiracy. But here's my last point that I want to make.
Okay, last point.
This is the last point I want to make about this. Okay. When you talk about in the Cold War era, when you got to start talking about Carter and Reagan, right? I mean, fucking Ronald Reagan started but he pumped in tons of cash into the Cold War that we all know never went to fucking anyone except fucking the rich people, right? Okay, this is my point. My point is the simple fact that whether you believe he's got dirt on Trump, and you got to remember is when they hacked the DNC, they hacked the RNC. Why is it we only saw shit on WikiLeaks about the DNC, but nothing about the RNC?
Because it was a leak, not a hack. And
the RNC did. No, the RNC with the FBI did show that they were hacked.
The DNC was not hacked. It was a leak because the speed at which the information was taken off of the computer has been proven by forensic evidence collectors that it could not have happened in any other format except using a USB drive. If you'd done it over the internet and
proved by William Benning.
And by a CIA guy, it's impossible that it could not have been hacked.
Like I said, I'm to the point now where, like I said, I mean, I'm not thinking that it's this big fucking conspiracy. I'm thinking it's more along the lines of the typical Trump fucking mentality of how can I get money from this person? How can I get money from that person?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
But that's not really close. That's what the Panama Papers proved, that there's a cabal of billionaires that want to rule the world.
Right, and Trump's in the Panama Papers.
Yep. As is that little bitch that he beat.
Right, exactly. And so is Hillary, and so is everyone else. I'm not sitting here saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here saying that he's better than Hillary. I'm not saying that.
I know that.
But what I'm saying is when you're in a position of power, and you're in a position of policy, and you're in a position of everything else, why hasn't Trump signed the fucking Russian sanctions that we voted in, that the House and the Senate voted in a year and a half ago? Those still have not been signed into law.
That's an interesting piece.
Right?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, if it's one of those things where, Putin and the Cold War, they lost a lot of money when the U.S. changed from the Cold War to terrorism, you know, some nameless Arab in a fucking desert cave somewhere. They lost money.
Yeah, we were actively funding the Mujahideen because
Exactly.
if you give somebody, you know, a $50,000 rocket launcher, you know, RPG, and they take out a $10 million helicopter, that's going to bankrupt the Russians pretty fast.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now, Chris, or you know what I mean? Like, you were in the military, you know for a fact that 99.9% of the shit the U.S. gets involved in, it doesn't matter what they say it's under, whether it's the Patriot Act, whether it's terrorism, whether it's this, whether it's that. We all know it's bullshit to get people rich, pure and simple. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. The reason I say that is because it's the Cold War 2.0 is what I'm getting at. So now the Russians want to take that state back. So what better way to say they?
It sounds a lot like what your headspace is where Cenk Uygur's headspace is, and I don't think that Cenk Uygur is necessarily wrong. I think that he's playing a dangerous game where he's really towing a line. And so I mean, you're right as far as Trump is moved by money.
Yes.
But you're gonna have to do a lot of disclaimers if you're gonna talk about that in any sort of public or recorded forum. Only because people are so willing to jump headfirst into the Mueller Kool-Aid, or just so fucking done with it that you're gonna have people wholeheartedly accept you regardless of what you say, or completely demonize you regardless of what you say. And so
the biggest thing that I have is this is if we were able as a country to take down Al Capone, and we were able to take down cartels and drug dealers and this and that for less evidence of conspiracy, of tenuous links, of everything else. The problem that I have is you do not have 5 out of 8 people that are tied to this campaign, whether it's Mueller, whether it's Stone, whether it's whoever. You do not have these people taken down. And it's not like they were doing things on Trump's behalf without Trump knowing it. There is no amount of loyalty that's going to allow someone to sit in jail for 20 fucking years. My point is this, is if I could build a federal case, and let's take out Russia and let's put in cocaine, or let's put in drugs, or let's put in anything else, everyone would be like, oh yeah, I can see the link. That's not a problem. I can find it. I can see it. It's the RICO Act, right? But when you start talking about the, you know, everything else, I think Mueller's report is to that point where federally they don't want to fucking touch him, because anything they do federally he can undo with just a pardon or whatever. Does no one else have a problem that he did not interview Ivanka or Donald Trump Jr. or Donald Trump himself? No one has a problem with that?
I have no problem with any of that. I really think that he kept running into brick walls because nothing happened along the lines of what the confines of the investigation was about. I mean, if you look at how Ocasio-Cortez probably did more work in the one questioning session she had than Mueller did, even back when he was selling us the WMD nonsense for the fucking Iraq invasion. So think about it like this. 100%. She opened up a bucking can of future whoop ass on Trump's stupid orange ass. Hold on. In New York City, she asked the right questions that is now going to actually get him indicted on all the money stuff you're talking about.
Correct.
But if you want to look at the Mueller report, which we haven't even seen yet, we've only heard people talking about the summary. Even in the summary, it doesn't say there's not enough to convict. It literally says there is nothing to convict him on because it didn't occur.
The exact wording is they don't feel there is enough evidence to convict him on. Okay, so here's my question. No, wait, stop. Here's my question. When we go back and we look at presidential impeachment, right? They did not impeach Clinton on Whitewater. They did not impeach Clinton on any of the shit in the initial investigation parameters that they had.
No, lying under oath.
Right.
Yeah.
Lying under oath about what?
Because he's an idiot and he didn't have to get questioned. None of that would have occurred if he just said, no, I'm the president. You can't question me.
But that's not true. The president is not above a subpoena. If they would have got Trump in a courtroom under oath and questioned him, whether it's about collusion or money, the biggest thing that I've got a problem with is I don't give a shit if there was collusion with Russia. It is what it is. The problem that I have is that now he's going to stand on his fucking orange fucking soapbox and talk about how there was no collusion. But
Right.
there's money laundering, there's major felonies, there's all this shit where they're fucking us over them getting rich. That's the problem that I have.
The argument you're making right now is the argument I've been making the whole time they've been trying to pin Trump to Russia, which is, why aren't they just attacking him for what actually happened in reality, rather than this dumb fucking narrative that was created by Hillary Clinton and her team of goddamn things in the first place?
So here's
if
my question.
Mueller had never investigated Trump-Russia, they could have actually investigated all the other Trump shit. And they probably would have had results too.
But there is a link.
And now
to
it's another
Russia.
fucking election because they carried us out into Division 3.0, if you want to call it that.
But there
We all
is
hate
a
each other
link.
now.
But there is a link between Trump and Russia. Trump took $30 million
There's a link
from the
between
NRA.
me and Russia, but
No,
what's
there's
the
not.
point?
No,
Sure.
there's not.
Yeah.
How?
I've purchased many things from Russian websites before.
No.
Let's see here. I have a bust of Putin in my room. Does that mean that I'm a Trump? I'm a Trumper?
No. Did you take money from a foreign government to dictate foreign policy?
Neither did Trump.
I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Prove it. What money does he need to take anyway? Fucking solid.
It's such a straw man argument that you're making right now. This is a guy who's only peddled in corruption, who's always dealt with the mob, who's always dealt with, you don't get a meeting unless you grease my palm, then you get a meeting, and then we figure out how I can carve things out for my best interest, not for public policy. And so but you're saying but then you're still trying to say that this is specific to policy. It's not the policy.
He took $30 million.
If it was the policy, we wouldn't. If it was her policy, we wouldn't be fucking around in Syria, fucking up Russia. We wouldn't be fucking around in Venezuela, fucking up Russia. We wouldn't have NATO having missile batteries literally pointed at Russia, fucking up Russia. Like, it's not about Russia; it's about money.
No, exactly.
And the reason why people weren't questioned, and the reason why it hasn't gone further is because everybody in establishment politics are involved in this type of corruption with money. They all have pay to play. I mean, and it's exposed iconically through Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, who shouted down Ilhan Omar, then went and jerked themselves off in front of AIPAC and talked about how amazing it was for senior politicians to bark at a freshman congresswoman who's a fucking Muslim, and who gives a fuck about the Islamophobia. And so it's literally the exact same thing. It's just money.
Exactly.
It's regular corruption. That's what it is. It's regular corruption. It's not policy. You're saying policy. You're saying exactly, but that's not the case that you're stating, though.
No, there is federal law stating you cannot take fucking money from a foreign fucking government. You can't.
In certain circumstances.
No, in every circumstance.
No, that's not true. Because what if the government of France wanted to buy a T-shirt from, I don't know, Progressive Rampage?
Okay, but that's fine. But
the
the French government isn't giving you know what? It's one of those things. We can agree to disagree on this, but the problem is whether you want to talk about its collusion, corruption, whatever. I don't give a fuck. I'm not saying that Russia fucked with the election, which is fine because we've been fucking with everyone's elections, and I get that's how the fucking world works.
They always do. Yeah.
Right, but the problem is whether you want to call it collusion, corruption. I don't give a fuck. Emoluments. I don't give a fuck what word you want to use. This fucking orange asshole has broken federal law on so many goddamn levels, and they need to get him in court, and they need to question him under oath so that they could then turn around and do the same thing that they did to Clinton to him. And I'm not saying there's enough votes to impeach him. I'm not saying that. I know there's not. But what I'm saying is, like you said, AOC. AOC has put it in that stratosphere where he cannot pardon himself. He can't pardon his daughter. He can't pardon his son. He can't pardon his fucking son-in-law for all the bullshit that they have done. And there has to be some sort of justice for the American people to sit here and see, because if there's no justice for the fucking rich, then you know what? I declare fucking open season and hunting season on the rich. That's my personal opinion.
You should have declared that in the 70s, buddy.
Well, no shit.
There's
I
never
was
been
only,
any justice for
I
that.
was only like 5. I was born
Yeah,
in
I
this
know.
heaven.
I wasn't born yet. Yeah.
I mean, and this is why I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit before the podcast. Like I said, I get the whole Mueller, and it's a touchy subject, and I get it. Some people are on both sides of the fence. I get that. But if you look at it as a drug case or a RICO case, it's more than enough to convict him. If he was some black guy in Atlanta doing fucking heroin and cocaine, his ass would be in jail 20 fucking times over.
Yeah.
But because he's orange and he's rich, there's no collusion. And the thing that bothers me the most, and the thing that's going to make me want to stab motherfuckers in the face, is they're going to stand there and go, well, Mueller proved there was no collusion. And it's like, you need more than enough evidence to take it to the grand jury. Let the grand jury decide. But get him in, get him on fucking record of what he says, so then later you can come around and investigate and say, well, he said he never talked to Trump, or Trump said he never talked to Putin, or any of the delegates, or anyone in Russian government in 2014. I can prove to you that's a fucking lie.
Okay. Hey, Jesse.
Yes.
We're live!
Yay! Fuck Trump!